Welcome to the talk show for talkers on irishradiointernational.com. You can find us on Facebook at the Talk Show for Talkers, and it's my pleasure and my privilege to introduce our very special guest for this week. She's the Director for Division M, and this young lady's name is Karen O'Donnell. And you are very welcome, Karen, to the Talk Show for Talkers.
Ted, thank you so much for inviting me. It's lovely to be on your show today.
Yeah, and it's lovely to have you on the show, Karen. And what I'm going to do, Karen, is what we do with all our guests. I'm going to just have a chat with you with regards your Toastmasters journey. And there are 5 questions, and the first question is, what brought you to Toastmasters in the first place?
I have a friend called Mohammed Al-Hajiri. He is a member in Saudi Arabia, and he approached me and said, Karen, you should take a look at Toastmasters. And I hadn't heard of Toastmasters, and to be honest, I had quite a negative idea of what it was in my head. And one evening I was free and I said, I'm going to take a look at this Toastmasters. I went to a meeting. I found it very supportive, encouraging. Everybody was friendly, and I thought, this is a really nice environment. And that's where it started. I've been hooked on it ever since, Ted.
Ah, well done. Yeah, like the rest of us, it becomes infectious. It becomes infectious. And what would you think, Karen, was as a member of Toastmasters, what has been the greatest benefit to you?
I'm a coach by profession, Ted, and I'm forever asking my clients to stretch outside their comfort zone, and I think Toastmasters that in a very supportive environment. So whereas initially I looked upon the role of Toastmaster and I thought, okay, 9 months down the road I'm gonna maybe tackle that. And the VPE, as we call them, came to me and after I'd been in the club only a few months and said, Karen, would you be Toastmaster? Scared the life out of me. And I thought, if somebody thinks I can do it, right, so I'll do it. And so it sort of got me to stretch outside my own comfort zone, probably quicker than I would have done myself. So it's assisted me there in just, I suppose, seeing my own potential.
Excellent, and a beautiful testimonial for Toastmasters, may I say. And again, with regards to Toastmasters, Karen, what has been your biggest Toastmasters challenge?
The challenge in Toastmasters? There's a few, and I suppose I'm either an all or nothing type of person. And the challenge is that because it is so infectious, because the environment is so encouraging and inviting, it's actually been able to put boundaries on it and say, now is family time. And I can't be thinking about Toastmasters. That's probably one of the biggest challenges for me, is to, keep it in its box a bit.
Yes, interesting.
I'm working through that challenge. I don't know how well I'm doing, though.
Yes, that's interesting, because life happens outside Toastmasters as well.
It does, but when when you find something that is really good, you like to bring it into all areas. And I suppose it is in all areas, because we have 3 young children. My husband is also a Toastmaster, and we regularly have Toastmaster meetings with evaluations, teaching our children how to evaluate in a nice way and do the Toastmaster sandwich.
Well, that is excellent, and it's fantastic that you have that support, whereby your husband is a Toastmaster as well.
Yes.
Yeah, because in some households all we do is talk about the soccer or the golf. But in your house, you talk about Toastmasters.
We do.
That's
sad,
brilliant.
but we do. But, it's all positive.
Yeah, I love that. That's brilliant. And with regards to Toastmasters, Karen, what would you change?
What would I change?
Yes, if anything.
One of my bugbears, I suppose, is contests. I've been in a few contests over the years, and what I've found is discouraging to a lot of people who would perhaps enter the contest is that when it gets past division level, sometimes the next contest district is in a different country. It could be in England, and then further afield with the international, it's the States this year, Las Vegas, and it's the financial burden on contestants, and I'd like to change that. I'm encouraging at area level and obviously my own division level to put on extra workshops so that we can fund our contestants to go to the next level. So hopefully we get all anybody who is eligible to take part in the contest, they've no financial constraints.
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant idea, and I wish you every success in that, because this is one thing I will say about Toastmasters. I know it's not a hobby, I refer to it as a way of life, but having said that, when you do start progressing through, it can become quite expensive.
Yes, absolutely. We want to try and reduce that as much as possible.
Yes, like for instance, later on this evening, we are actually starting the international convention in Las Vegas. And as much as I would love to be there, I just couldn't afford it.
Yeah, many of us are the same, but we're lucky. I know Brendan Houghton has put in a bid to bring it to Dublin, to bring it to Ireland in a couple of years, so we've got fingers crossed for that. It's the early stages of negotiations.
Yeah. Well, that's brilliant. I'm delighted to hear that, because we will support you in any way and in every way that we can. With regards that, I think that's a fantastic aspiration to have. And it did move outside the States for the first time last year when they held it in Kuala Lumpur. So why not hold it in Ireland?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. And we'll bring you all down to Blarney and we'll give you the gift of eloquence.
This is it. See, we might be small, but we are powerful.
Yeah, well done. I love it. And with regards to Toastmasters again, Karen, what keeps you coming back?
What keeps me coming back? It's in life we put on various masks or various roles we have. When we come to Toastmasters and we speak in front of other people, it exposes our vulnerability, it exposes our fear, and we are nurtured and supported in a beautiful environment. And as we progress, we give that support and nurturing to others. And I think that it's that strong bond, that strong relationship that we develop that we perhaps don't get in other areas outside our homes. So that's what that's what brings me back time and time again.
And I think that's excellent, and I would totally agree with you there on that answer. And I would even go further, and I would say that we, particularly as Irish people, if somebody says to you, "Gosh, Karen, that was a fantastic speech," if you weren't in Toastmasters, you're inclined to shirk away from that, and you're saying you'd be inclined to say, "Don't be talking rubbish. I did what I had to do." We're very slow to take recognition and appraisal. Would you think so?
Yeah, absolutely. There is that as well. And I think even when we do get all the positives from Toastmasters, we're like, is that just because it's Toastmasters? Are they really happy clapping?
Yeah.
It's nice to get all that recognition. And I think it is drawing a balance of having constructive recognition as well.
It is. And as a life coach, I'd imagine that you would have come across this, that you will deal with people who are in jobs that they don't like. They have bosses that they detest. For the simple reason that the boss never comes over and says, "That was a good job." They'll always come over and tell you when something goes wrong. But they'll never come over and say, "You did a fantastic job there today, Ted. Well done, keep it up."
Yeah, you're right. And in that situation, you look at people to reinstill in themselves, I did a good job, and get the self-belief back. Because if you have a boss like that, it does erode your self-confidence. As a life coach, you try and instill that in them. And that's what Toastmasters is. We are like coaches to each other, because we are instilling that confidence, that self-belief that you can do it. And sure, that makes anything possible.
Yeah, and you're so right. And there's a little mantra that I use in my particular profession, because I'm a self-employed business person as well. And what I always say to people is that each person is so unique, insofar as in this universe there will never ever, since time began and until time finishes, there will never be another Karen O'Donnell. You are that unique. You are a once-off. And isn't that a huge feeling to carry around with you every day, irrespective of what other people think about you, that you are unique in the universe?
It is, and Toastmasters gives you that belief to release that potential, to release that uniqueness, and to see that. It's all good.
Yeah, it's all good. Karen, it has been a pleasure speaking with you, but if you don't mind, Karen, if you have the time, I would love if we came back on the third section and we spoke a little bit about leadership.
I'd love to. Thank you very much, Ted.
Thank you, Karen. We'll be back with you in 2 minutes. Welcome back, Toastmasters, listeners, guests, and you're very welcome back to the Talk Show for Talkers on IrishRadioInternational.com. And I was having a very interesting conversation with Karen, who is the Division Director for Division M. And I'm going to expand on this conversation now, because I think these are the people, and Karen particularly is a person that we would love to speak to with regards leadership. So Karen, what kind of dreams, aspirations or signposts have you lined up for yourself for this coming 12 months?
Well, for me it's fairly simple. It's down to the raw structure of what Toastmasters is, and it's communication. So I'm looking at expanding communication throughout the division, and in fact throughout the other divisions. It's the Easy Speak, D71 is what we also call it, bringing that through the whole division. I'm actually bringing it through to other divisions too. So it's encouraging that communication, that we can communicate between clubs on Easy Speak. It's also continuing community programs. It's getting Toastmasters into the community. I've brought it to the schools in Dublin, the Youth Leadership Programme, and Speechcraft in prisons. So again, it's communicating, but within the community, bringing it there, showing them how it can enhance them, their communication skills. And it's expanding educational and leadership opportunities for the members, getting them to organise more workshops. I mentioned earlier about getting workshops so to increase the numbers of people coming to contests, and asking members to look at whether they would like to put on these workshops. So it's getting them to stretch outside their comfort zone and get assistance from Division. So that's my overall goal, is to increase communication within Division M and through the other divisions.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I'm very interested in what you say about the speechcraft in prisons. Could you give us a little bit more about that? Because this is leadership at its purest, as far as I'm concerned.
We've brought it now. It was brought into the men's prison, and I will say it works better in the men's prison for the simple reason is that the men are locked up pretty much all the time, and doing the Toastmaster was a real reward for them. So they really put a lot of work into their speeches, and the club in the men's prison has been going now for perhaps close on 3 years. The women's prison that we were in was quite different in that the women were freer in the prison, so there wasn't the emphasis on attending a Toastmaster session. Having said that, when they got there, it was quite different for them. Before, when they would try and speak up, they would have people interrupting them. They never quite got their point across. And in the Toastmasters environment, it gave them that space that they could stand up and speak. When they did put together their speeches, and they were quite varied, again, it gave them the space that people would listen, and they were being listened to, and they were learning how to structure what they wanted to say. And one girl was one Polish girl, and she'd no English, and she's looked upon it as a way of educating herself, being on the Toastmasters programme. So it was quite a confidence-building exercise for the women. Very rewarding.
Yeah, that's fantastic, Karen. But as a matter of interest, the thoughts that are going through my mind, if it's in a prison, are they affiliated to Toastmasters as clubs?
They're not. It's because it's Speechcraft. They're not set up as a club.
Right. I forgot about that.
They're being run by the Toastmasters who go in. It's like the youth leadership as well. They're not clubs. They are programs. So it's not a club as such. Now, I think they could be. They have been set up in the States as clubs, but we haven't looked at that over here. The youth leadership again is the same thing. It's a program, and I would say it's the best program Toastmaster run. To see these kids, I'm saying they're 16, 17-year-olds. We've worked with transition year students. To see them blossom, and I'm saying blossoming within 8 sessions, is truly amazing and transformational for them. Yes. Wonderful to be part of. And if there's any Toastmaster out there who's at all interested or has some free time between school hours, to contact myself or Brendan Houghton, we'd be delighted to assist them.
And I think that's a lovely invitation, and this is something that we will re-emphasise at the end of the show, that Karen O'Donnell, who is the Division M Director, along with some of our colleagues in the Dublin district, will be delighted to support anybody who wants to put on the speechcraft, particularly for schools.
Absolutely. It's wonderful.
That's brilliant. But I'm fascinated by this one about the prisons. For instance, if you don't mind me asking, and I'm sure the people in prisons who are listening to us will understand the way I'm asking this question, is there some sort of a system whereby you go in, do you have to have a prison guard with you, or would you be afraid for your own security and your own health and safety?
No, you get invited in by the governor. So we went in every second week. Okay. You get security checked. The room
Just the thoughts that are going asking, and I'm sure the people in prisons who are listening to us will understand the way I'm asking this question. Is there some sort of a system whereby you go in, do you have to have a prison guard with you, or would you be afraid for your own security and your own health and safety?
No, you get invited in by the governor. So we went in every second week. Okay. You get security checked. The room, there's always a prison warden in the room with you.
Okay.
So you're never on your own. But it's very relaxed. You never felt like you were, anyone was threatening you. It was, if you didn't know better, you'd swear you were in just somewhere else in the
Yes,
community.
of course, yeah, because these are ordinary people who probably, for whatever reason, just went down a different track to you and I.
And this is it.
You know?
There, but the grace of God go I. Who knows?
Exactly.
Circumstances.
Yeah, that is so true. Like, there for the grace of God go I. Who am I to say that had I not been, if I had been born 5 minutes later than I was actually born, I could have ended up completely different to what I am now.
They gave wonderful, insightful speeches. And they were just, they were paired right back. The emotion was so tangible. And, they'd nothing to lose by, I suppose, having their heart on their sleeves. It was lovely to witness.
And I think that's absolutely brilliant, insofar as we can learn so much and we can teach so much to those people. And I often think of it, that's my sentiment as well, but for the grace of God go I, that we can learn. These are human beings just the same as you and I. And, they say there's a little good in the worst of us and there's a little bad in the best of us.
This is true.
So, isn't it? But what a fantastic contribution you are making to society by going in, speaking with those people and giving them back a little bit of their own self-worth.
This is true, but you know yourself, no matter what, when you give, you also receive. There's nothing sure, but the kids as well.
Oh, I have to agree.
Much back.
I have to agree. It really is giver's gain, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And
so just all good.
Yeah, and would you mind giving us another little piece on this, on the one that you do with the kids? And did you call that community training, or you said speechcraft for the prisons and for the schools?
It's youth leadership program. It's an actual program within Toastmasters, and again, they get their own manuals.
Yes.
Like we have our CC manual, they get their own manual. You run a Toastmaster program. Toastmaster meetings? We did it each week. We had 50 kids that we divided into three Toastmaster sessions. So it was a long session for us. And you go in and you teach them. There's a bit of an educational, so you would teach them a little bit about table topics, and then you would run with the table topics, but you'd always pick on a teacher first. So the kids, the teacher was always in the vulnerable position first, or one of us. And there's a lot of respect in the room for the kids. And initially, when I say kids, they were about 16, 17.
Yes.
They found it difficult. It was a challenge for them to stand up and speak for 10 seconds. Kids of that age just wanted to say what they had to say and sit down. And you're asking them to extend it out to a minute, 2 minutes. That was a challenge. And what we found interesting was, at the end of each session, they'd be so enthusiastic, they'd put their hands up to do a speech. Second session, they wouldn't turn up with their speech. But we said to them, everybody needs to speak here, so everybody would be asked the table topics. And they would be expected, and we would help them speak for 2 minutes. And they realised very quickly that, I can prepare a speech for 5 to 7 minutes, or I can be put on the spot and asked a question. And they all then started preparing their speeches, so it was very good.
That's brilliant, because like when you were talking about 16 and 17-year-olds being afraid to stand up and speak, I have plenty of friends who would be slightly older than the 16 and 17-year-olds who are terrified to get up and speak. Under no circumstances will they get up and speak.
If what we did was we got each of them to write out the evaluation slips, as we do in a normal Toastmaster meeting.
Brilliant.
But because the first session we had very few speeches, we got the kids who gave the speech to read out the evaluation slips that their peers had written. That was powerful, because at that age they tend to slag each other off more than acknowledge their greatness.
Yes.
And when they were reading from their friend Mary, I really liked your tone of voice. You have a lovely soft voice.
Yes.
What you said was so interesting. Wow, I didn't realise you could do this. They left and they were 10 feet tall.
Yeah.
They immediately got a benefit from the sessions.
I think that's absolutely incredible. And I fully understand what you say, that when somebody says to you, what a wonderful voice you have, because none of us can listen to our own voices. But you're right, actually. What a lovely attribute to have, that you have a lovely voice or a wonderful voice. And to say to that somebody who has a wonderful voice, that could be actually life-changing.
Absolutely. You remember the kindnesses of people. I think that sticks with you, isn't it?
Sorry, what was that? I missed that now, Karen, sorry.
You remember the kindnesses of people.
Oh, yes.
Being kind and saying things.
Yes, most definitely you do, actually, yeah. And Karen, with regards leadership, since this was the heading we were speaking under, I think you have given us some lovely thoughts on pure leadership. And I have absolutely no doubt that Division M will be doing very well in this coming year, under your guidance.
Well, we're loving it so far. We're well on our way. We've organised quite a few events, and we've won in 2 weeks. Some are spectacular. So we're looking forward to as many people attending that from all divisions.
Right, and will that be right open to all of us on the island of Ireland?
Oh, absolutely. Ted's doing a wonderful workshop on putting together a winning speech. We have our outgoing Toastmaster of the Year, District Toastmaster Dermot Carey, doing an amazing judging workshop. And we're also going to screen, on the big screen, the first, second and third winners of the contest coming up this weekend.
Oh, brilliant. I'll have to come along to that. And I would just...
Ted, I'll be expecting you there now.
Yeah, and I would just like to point out to our listenership around the world that when Karen said Ted is putting on this wonderful workshop, it's not Ted Mellamphy, it's the other Ted Corcoran.